are in custody. Both of them had been living in the suburbs north of Paris. One of them, a 34-year-old man, an Algerian national, had been arrested at Charles de Gaulle airport on Saturday night as he was preparing to board a flight to Algeria on a one-way ticket. He was previously known to police for theft. The other one, a 39-year-old man who had previously been convicted of theft in 2004 and 2018. So the investigation continues.
Imagine watching a thief walk into the Louvre, slip past guards, and lift priceless jewels while the whole world watches, and then seeing that exact moment go live on the internet. That's exactly what happened with the latest footage of the 2017 Louvre jewelry heist, and it's now gone viral. In a stunning breakthrough, 2 of the 4 men accused of orchestrating the $100 million robbery have been nabbed, one even caught boarding a plane out of France. But the real shock? A high-definition clip that captures the stolen crane's lift, the suspects' faces, and the museum's chaotic response, all captured by a bystander's phone. Join us as we break down what this footage reveals, why it's rewriting the story of one of the world's most audacious art thefts, and what the next steps in the investigation could mean. In the heart of Paris, a crime of unprecedented scale rattled the world's most celebrated museum. When the doors of the Louvre opened at 9 a.m. on October 19, thousands of visitors stepped into a scene of quiet reverence, unaware that within minutes a crew of 4 men would orchestrate a theft that would dwarf every heist the world has ever seen. The operation, executed in broad daylight, saw thieves breach the Apollo Gallery using a stolen bucket truck, bypassing reinforced glass and stealing more than $100 million in jewels. It felt like a Hollywood blockbuster unfolding on a real, living canvas. The Louvre, known worldwide as the repository of art and culture, houses masterpieces that have transcended centuries. The Mona Lisa, the Venus de Milo, the iconic glass pyramid that crowns its entrance, each piece tells a story of human achievement. Yet, in a single 10-minute window, 4 individuals, masked, armored, and armed with a truck that could have belonged to a construction crew, stepped into that storied space and claimed 8 priceless artifacts. The loss is not merely monetary, it represents a cultural wound that echoes far beyond the walls of Paris. The thieves arrived through a second-floor window in the Apollo Gallery, a high-security area that normally safeguards royal crowns, tiaras, and necklaces from the 1800s. According to eyewitness accounts and police reports, the bucket truck, black, dented, and oddly devoid of a driver, was parked at the museum's perimeter. The criminals set up traffic cones, donned hard hats, safety vests, and gloves, and proceeded to appear as ordinary construction workers. Their facade, coupled with a thorough understanding of the museum's layout, allowed them to breach the reinforced glass cases in seconds. As they lowered themselves down the ladder, they were already en route to escape on motor scooters, leaving the Louvre in a frantic state of alarm. What is particularly chilling about this heist is the precision and speed with which it was carried out. The thieves entered the gallery at 9:34 a.m. and triggered an alarm in the museum's control room within moments. Security staff, scrambling to assess the breach, radioed the command center. By 9:37 a.m. the police had been notified, and guards began evacuating visitors. Yet, despite the rapid response, the robbers had already extracted 8 pieces of jewelry, a royal tiara, a series of necklaces, a pair of earrings, and a crown that once belonged to Empress Eugenie, the wife of Napoleon III. The crown's jewels were not taken intact. The thieves had inadvertently dropped it as they fled, leaving a visible, priceless relic on the museum floor for a brief, haunting moment. The jewels themselves were more than opulent trinkets. They were heirlooms imbued with history. Each tiara was studded with diamonds that could be sold individually, each crown's pearls and gemstones offering a market value that exceeded their cultural significance. The 4 items, once removed from their cases, were stripped of protective cases and, for the crown, the precious stones were likely separated from their frames. While a single jewel might fetch a high price on the black market, the value of a whole crown, its design, its historical context, its artistry, cannot be replicated by fragments. Thus, the theft is not merely a financial loss, it is a profound erasure of heritage. French authorities reacted with a mixture of shock and determination. The day after the robbery, police announced that 2 of the 4 suspects had been apprehended. The arrested men, identified by DNA, fingerprints, and forensic evidence collected at the scene, were taken to police headquarters for interrogation, where they could be held for up to 96 hours. Their arrest represents a significant triumph for the French police, who have long faced a steady stream of art thefts targeting major museums. The promptness of these arrests hints at an investigation that may have included inside information, an element that only deepens the mystery of how the thieves navigated the Louvre's sophisticated security systems with such ease. Investigators, led by the Paris police in cooperation with French national security agencies, have employed an array of forensic techniques to track down the culprits. The museum's security cameras, though not fully captured by the bucket truck's approach, were reviewed meticulously for any anomalies. Meanwhile, swabs taken from the bucket truck's wheel, the ladder, and the inside of the cases were sent to laboratories for DNA analysis. The Louvre security protocols require every visitor to pass through a metal detector, and a thorough sweep of the area yielded no evidence of additional weapons or suspicious items. However, the fact that the thieves left a crown dropped on the floor, visible, exposed, and unmistakable, was a clue that has spurred a renewed urgency among investigators to track the movement of the stolen artifacts. The story of this theft has captivated the attention of specialists in the art crime world. Retired Special Agent Dave Bass, a former FBI operative who has spent his career tracking stolen cultural property across the globe, joins us to offer insight into the implications of this brazen robbery. When he first learned about the Louvre theft, he described his reaction as one of dismay, a stark reminder that even the most revered institutions are vulnerable. It is always disheartening when a cultural institution as esteemed as the Louvre is targeted, he said. It is a tragic loss, and we are losing valuable cultural property, which at the root of it is a profound cultural wound. Agent Bass noted that the operation seemed rehearsed to a high degree of precision. The choice of a bustling weekday morning, when the museum was full of visitors, was an intentional strategy to exploit the high foot traffic and the psychological lull it created. The timing itself was audacious, he said. They made a deliberate choice of a busy day, implying either inside information or a keen understanding of the museum's daily rhythms. The bucket truck, a plausible cover that could be mistaken for legitimate equipment, lent the operation an additional layer of cover. The criminals' uniform of hard hats and safety vests further reinforced the illusion that they were part of a legitimate maintenance crew. The planning that underpinned this theft appears to have been meticulous. Agent Bass pointed out that a successful art heist of this magnitude requires more than brute force. It demands a detailed knowledge of the museum's layout, the timing of security rotations, and often, a degree of inside knowledge.
There could be other accomplices too, although they did say that at this stage they had no evidence that made them believe that there were accomplices inside the museum, that this was an inside job. Importantly, the prosecutor said they still haven't managed to recover any of the priceless jewels that were stolen from inside the museum, and the prosecutor made an appeal to anyone who might have them or come into contact.
The robber's execution suggests that someone on the inside may have shared details about the vaults, security protocols, or camera blind spots. While no official statements confirm insider involvement, the level of rehearsal evident in their swift breach implies that they had rehearsed each step before committing the crime. Their choice of time of day was a masterstroke, Agent Bass added, and the fact that there were patrons present made the act all the more audacious. The cultural impact of the theft extends far beyond the immediate loss of material wealth. The crown of Empress Eugenie, for instance, is not merely a jewel-laden headpiece, it is a symbol of the Second French Empire, a testament to a pivotal era in French history. Each of the stolen items carries with it an embedded narrative, the tiara's association with royal pageantry, the necklace's provenance tracing back to aristocratic lineages. When such artifacts vanish, the collective memory of the people who once possessed them is also erased. The Louvre is more than a museum, it is a living archive that connects humanity across time. The theft represents a fissure in that connection, a loss that will be felt for generations. When investigators seized DNA evidence from the bucket truck, the inside of the cases, and even the scooters, they hoped to trace the theft's path. The presence of blood or skin cells on the truck's ladder suggests that the criminals had been in close contact with the display cases. In the days following the robbery, police canvassed the surrounding neighborhoods, interviewing shopkeepers, street vendors, and motorbike dealers, searching for any hint of the escape route. The fact that 2 of the 4 suspects were apprehended the next day is a testament to the intensity of the investigation and the likelihood that the stolen items may yet surface. The recovery of the stolen artifacts is a complex issue. In the realm of art crime, the odds of retrieval vary greatly depending on the nature of the items and the method of concealment. Jewels, for instance, can be separated from their settings and sold individually, making them harder to trace once they enter the black market. A crown's gemstones can be sold off, leaving a non-functional, but still valuable, piece of jewelry. Conversely, items such as paintings or sculptures, if broken or dismantled, lose much of their contextual and historical value, even if the physical materials remain intact. The Louvre's stolen crown, for example, may have been stripped of its diamonds, allowing the thieves to sell those diamonds on the street or in an underground auction, while the remaining structure would be harder to recover. Agent Bass emphasized that the best scenario would involve the return of the artifacts to the Louvre, but he cautioned that their journey to the present day may have already diverted them far from Paris. In most of these crimes, the stolen goods are immediately secreted away somewhere, often out of the country, he said. The fact that we have 2 arrests is a positive development because it increases the likelihood that these items can be recovered. It also means that law enforcement can trace the network, potentially leading to the remaining two suspects and the whereabouts of the artifacts. The cultural loss extends into the psyche of Paris and the international community. The Louvre is a symbol of artistic achievement, and the theft has ignited conversations about how we protect our shared heritage. The incident underscores the need for better collaboration between museums, law enforcement, and intelligence agencies. In the months following the robbery, French authorities announced a review of the Louvre's security protocols, exploring upgrades in surveillance technology, the installation of motion-sensing cameras, and tighter control of access to high-value display cases. The goal is not only to prevent future breaches but also to create a forensic framework that can track stolen items more effectively, from the moment of theft to the moment they resurface in the black market. The investigation also sparked broader discussions about the role of inside information in art crimes. Agents and historians alike speculate that someone within the Louvre may have supplied details about case layouts or security blind spots. While no confirmation of insider involvement has been released, the seamless execution points to a sophisticated level of preparation. Some analysts suggest that the thieves might have had a prior relationship with museum staff, perhaps through former employees or disgruntled contractors, providing them with insights that only insiders could offer. Whether that hypothesis holds true remains to be seen. The potential recovery of the stolen jewels is an issue of immense importance. Each artifact, with its embedded gemstones, is a composite of cultural significance and material value. Even if the items are split or dismantled, the constituent jewels can still be auctioned, albeit at reduced prices, thereby providing a financial incentive for the thieves to retain them. However, the loss of the historical context, such as a tiara that once adorned a queen, cannot be compensated by monetary gain. The theft has highlighted a vulnerability that other museums may also face, prompting an industry-wide shift toward proactive security measures and international cooperation. As the investigation unfolds, the focus will likely shift to the remaining two suspects, presumed to still be at large, and the elusive whereabouts of the stolen artifacts. Law enforcement agencies have already set up a network of informants and a database of known art crime networks, hoping to trace the movement of the jewels. The international art market's demand for rare diamonds and gemstones ensures that even if the items are moved across borders, they may surface in auction houses or private collections in a matter of months. Consequently, the French police are working closely with their counterparts in the United States, United Kingdom, and Russia, sharing leads and forensic findings in hopes of piecing together the thieves' escape routes. The broader implications of the Louvre heist touch upon the fragility of cultural heritage in an increasingly interconnected world. Every stolen artifact is a reminder that history is not a static record, it is a living entity that requires constant guardianship. When a museum of the Louvre stature is compromised, the ripple effects are felt in art circles, academic institutions, and the general public. It is a sobering lesson that even the most secure locations can be penetrated by a well-coordinated group of individuals with the right knowledge and the right tools. While the immediate focus remains on locating the missing jewels and apprehending the remaining suspects, there is a renewed call for museums worldwide to re-evaluate their security protocols. The incident has encouraged the adoption of art crime risk assessments, which involve a thorough evaluation of potential threats, vulnerabilities, and the strategic importance of each exhibit. By integrating intelligence gathering, forensic analysis, and community vigilance, museums can create a more robust shield against the theft of cultural property. Agent Dave Bass's comments underscore the importance of a coordinated effort to recover stolen artifacts. The art crime world is a complex one, he said. But with the right partnership between law enforcement, museums, and the intelligence community, we can mitigate risks and ensure that stolen artifacts can be brought back to their rightful homes.
Two suspects have been arrested over the Louvre crown jewel heist, and they are set to be charged now with theft and criminal conspiracy. This has all been confirmed by the Paris prosecutor. Just to remind you, Sunday, October the 19th, as the museum opened for visitors, an audacious raid was carried out, the gang making off with 88 million euros worth of jewels, the French crown jewels, in fact, which are still missing. Well, the Paris prosecutors.
The potential return of these items would serve not only as a triumph for the French police but also as a vindication for the global community's commitment to preserving humanity's shared cultural assets. In conclusion, the theft of 4 high-value jewels from the Louvre on March 11th has sent shockwaves through the world of cultural heritage. While the immediate impact was the loss of valuable artifacts, the broader implications lie in the potential vulnerability of other institutions and the necessity of collaborative security and forensic efforts. The investigation remains ongoing, with law enforcement agencies worldwide engaged in the pursuit of the remaining suspects and the elusive jewels. The future may hold the possibility of recovery, but the theft's cultural ramifications serve as a permanent reminder that our shared history must be protected, preserved, and cherished for generations to come. We thank Agent Dave Bass for his insight into the complexities of art crime and for shedding light on the potential implications of the Louvre heist. His perspective offers a valuable lens through which to understand the stakes involved and the importance of a coordinated approach to safeguarding cultural heritage. The investigation continues, and we remain committed to providing updates as new information becomes available. The search for the stolen jewels is a global endeavor, and the world watches as law enforcement and intelligence agencies work together to recover a piece of France's history and to prevent future breaches at the world's most revered institutions. The theft that shook the Louvre on March 11 has not simply become another headline. It has spiraled into a complex, multi-layered investigation that stretches across continents, borders, and legal systems. As the world watches, every new piece of information is dissected not only for its immediate impact but also for the broader implications it holds for cultural heritage protection, the underground art market, and the very nature of security at the world's most iconic museums. At the heart of the matter are the 4 jewels that vanished from the Salle des Etats. Their value is not merely in the precious stones themselves but in their status as intact, historically significant artifacts. One of the experts, who has spent years studying the nuances of gem cutting, warned that these pieces were crafted in a style that prioritized brilliance in candlelight over modern electrical illumination. They're old European cuts, he explained, not the modern faceted designs that would be easier to recut. Recutting such stones is a delicate art. A single miscut could destroy the piece's historical integrity and diminish its market value dramatically. This adds a layer of urgency to the search for the jewels in their original form. If they're already broken up, the possibility of ever reconstructing them to their former glory becomes a question of feasibility and cost. The idea that they might have been recut after the theft is a chilling reminder that time-worn craftsmanship is now under threat. The motive behind the heist is as contested as the jewels themselves. While the police initially framed the incident as a conventional burglary, the retired FBI Special Agent Dave Bass, who has a long history fighting art-related crimes, provided a broader perspective on why the thieves chose a day that was both bustling and vulnerable. It's a classic art-napping scenario, he noted. The thieves were not rushing. They knew the crowds, the blind spots, the shift patterns of the security staff. The timing, 9:30 in the morning, was a calculated move to exploit the moment when staff focus on ushering guests in. Yet beyond the logistics lies a question of motive. Was the crew seeking a quick payday, or were they part of a more intricate ransom plot? Bass clarified that the distinction is critical. Art napping, he said, is a term used for thieves who demand payment for the return of stolen artifacts. It's distinct from a simple ransom in that the thieves are actively seeking the return of the items. The legal frameworks governing ransom are notoriously complex. In many jurisdictions, the act of negotiating with kidnappers or ransom demands can be considered collusion or even complicit. French law explicitly forbids ransom negotiations with criminal groups, the source states, and the authorities have remained tight-lipped about offering any incentive to facilitate a return. This legal posture has had a chilling effect on the underground market, where a few pieces of information have already circulated. The experts who track these illicit trades are acutely aware that the market for historical artifacts is highly volatile. Even a single stone that has lost its original setting or has been recut can find a buyer willing to pay a fraction of its true value. The market is underground, but the demand remains, one market analyst noted. If the jewels were sold, they could be split into smaller, more easily transported stones and reintegrated into the market as generic gems. However, the reality is that such a sale is rarely seamless. Even if the thieves did manage to break the jewels into smaller fragments, the process of recutting them would inevitably damage the stones, making them less valuable both monetarily and historically. The experts have pointed out that the potential sale price in a clandestine transaction would fall short of the jewels' actual worth as complete artifacts, thereby reducing the financial incentive for the thieves to go through such a costly and risky process. Meanwhile, the French authorities have taken a clear stance on the question of ransom. The Louvre has acknowledged a security failure, but we are not opening the door to ransom negotiations, the police spokesperson said. The statement was read aloud in a press briefing that followed the arrests of 2 of the 4 suspects. The arrests, while a significant breakthrough, also added a new layer of intrigue. How many more individuals were involved? Were there insiders who facilitated the operation? And what networks connect the suspects to the broader world of illicit art trafficking? These are the questions that investigators are now asking themselves. Inside the Louvre, the security system has been under intense scrutiny. Museum director Pierre Roussel, who has managed the institution for 15 years, was quoted in a separate interview. He described the Louvre's security posture as top-notch, but acknowledged its imperfections. "We have blind spots, like any large building," he said. The timing of the entry, just after the morning rush, suggested that the thieves had intimate knowledge of the guards' shift patterns. This knowledge points to either a highly skilled, well-trained group of thieves who spent months casing the museum or, as many have suggested, an inside job where someone with access provided the thieves with the layout and the exact times when surveillance would be least effective. Roussel admitted that there was no concrete evidence of an insider's involvement, but the precision of the theft raises eyebrows. It almost seems that way, he admitted. The choice of timing, the exact route, the lack of urgency, they all suggest that someone in the museum or a contractor had tipped them off.
So this was an ongoing investigation. We also know there are at least 2 more suspects still on the run. DNA samples from at least 4 people were found at the scene by the forensics team, who found more than 150 DNA samples in and around the Louvre at the site of that robbery. And the prosecutors aren't ruling out that.
Beyond the Louvre's walls, the discussion has turned to what it means for museums worldwide. The delicate balance between openness and security is a perennial challenge for cultural institutions. Every day, thousands of visitors walk through the Louvre's doors, experiencing art that spans millennia. The Louvre is an outstanding institution, Roussel said. The staff were disheartened by the theft, but we will take a look back at what worked and what didn't. The global community of museum security professionals has taken note. While budgets and personnel shortages are common complaints, the consensus is that the Louvre security system was robust but not foolproof. The theft highlighted specific weak points: blind spots in surveillance cameras, a reliance on human staff to manage visitor flow during peak times, and a lack of proactive threat assessment in less frequented areas of the building. The arrest of 2 suspects, identified later in the investigation as individuals with prior connections to art trafficking networks, has added a personal dimension to the story. Base's commentary, drawn from his years with the FBI's Art Crime Division, emphasized that these arrests were a pivotal step in unraveling the broader conspiracy. We'll see who they are, their connections, and what played out, he noted. Their profiles suggest ties to international smuggling rings that have been active for years, moving stolen artifacts across borders using seemingly innocuous routes. Motor scooters that blend into Paris traffic, abandoned construction sites, and discreet storage facilities in neighboring countries. The investigators are now piecing together the logistics of the escape, noting the scooter's slow departure contrasted with the rapid blend into everyday traffic. The thieves seemed unhurried, perhaps indicating that they had calculated every possible escape route and timing to avoid detection. The conversation with Dave Base also shed light on how the underground market responds to such high-profile thefts. Knowing that the jewels might have been broken up, the thieves would have had to pay a significant cost to recut them in places like Israel, or India, Base said, recalling the experts' warning about cutting techniques. If they couldn't find a specialist to recreate the original cuts, the stones would lose much of their value. He further explained that the underground market often trades in fragments or replicas rather than original artifacts, precisely because intact pieces are rare and difficult to smuggle. Thus, the threat of underground resale serves as a deterrent. Potential thieves are aware that the longer the jewels remain unaccounted for, the higher the chance of discovery, which reduces the profit margin and elevates risk. In response to the arrests, the French police released a statement on the potential involvement of insiders. The statement suggested that the thieves had detailed knowledge of the Louvre's security vulnerabilities. The exact timing, the route, the lack of urgency, it's all too coordinated for a random burglary, a senior official remarked. Yet, they emphasized that no evidence of insider assistance has surfaced thus far. The official stance is that the thieves either acquired their knowledge through extensive external surveillance or perhaps had an accomplice on the inside who provided them with the needed intelligence. The possibility of an inside job remains a contentious point, and it underscores the importance of ongoing internal audits and security drills within such institutions. The broader community of museums is taking the Louvre's experience seriously. Curators, directors, and security specialists worldwide are re-examining their protocols. The balance between preserving the accessibility of cultural treasures and fortifying them against theft is a paradox that the Louvre has lived with for centuries. We're a public institution, Roussel said, and that means we have to make a trade-off. Opening the doors for 30,000 visitors a day means we have to be vigilant, but we also can't be so closed that the public feels alienated. His words echo the sentiments of many directors who struggle with limited budgets, staffing shortages, and the ever-evolving tactics of criminals who adapt to security innovations. The legal framework surrounding ransom in art crimes adds another layer of complexity. While some nations allow negotiation under certain circumstances, French law explicitly prohibits the exchange of money for stolen cultural artifacts. This policy was clear in a statement by the French authorities. "We are not going to offer a reward for the jewels," the spokesperson said. The stance is not only about legal constraints, but also about sending a message that negotiation could encourage further thefts. The police are, however, not dismissing the possibility of a structured art-napping approach, where the perpetrators seek payment to ensure the jewel's safe return. In such cases, the law is ambiguous. The authorities maintain a careful distance to avoid legitimizing the criminals' tactics. The conversation with Base highlighted that the French are coming out and just acknowledging that it was a security failure, but they are also cautious about how the response could be perceived. The policy is designed to deter future attempts. If thieves know that they cannot negotiate for a safe return, the risk of retaliation rises. The arrests themselves have already sparked speculation about the suspects' roles within the larger network. The two individuals detained were found to have connections to a smuggling ring that operates between France and neighboring countries. Their arrest has not yet been publicly disclosed in detail, but it is believed they were key members in the planning and execution phases. We'll see who they are, their connections, and what played out, the investigators announced. The expectation is that their interrogations will shed light on whether the thieves were acting alone, with external support, or with direct insider facilitation. The investigators are also hoping to uncover whether the thieves were part of a larger gang with an organized structure that has been working on high-profile thefts for years. The knowledge gleaned from the suspects is invaluable. It could potentially map out the logistics, the funding sources, and the intended resale market for the jewels. The interrogation is expected to be a turning point in the case, perhaps opening up new leads and allowing authorities to seize more assets or arrest additional members of the ring. Base's remarks also highlighted the difficulty of returning stolen artifacts once they have crossed borders. The legalities of cross-border asset recovery are complex. Even if the thieves manage to keep the jewels intact, moving them through international waters or through the labyrinth of European customs can be fraught with risk. The investigators are analyzing the use of abandoned construction sites in the vicinity, where the thieves could have stashed the jewels before moving them to a more permanent storage. The speculation is that the thieves used a combination of legal and illegal channels to disguise the movement of the jewels. Finally, the global community is watching closely how the French authorities handle the situation. The policy of refusing to offer a reward is rooted in the belief that the recovery of the jewels should be based on cooperation, not coercion. "We're not offering a reward," the spokesperson insisted. "We are not going to open the door for negotiation." The message is clear: if the thieves are caught and prosecuted, the authorities will act with full force. This approach signals to the world that the risk of theft remains high and that law enforcement agencies will remain vigilant.